Ram trucks, built to serve.
We'll get to Tom Brady in a second, but first, Heat Raptors in the worst NBA game of the year. Chris Silva catches the lob from Goran Dragic, finishes strong for the and one. There were 160 total points scored in this game. It was an atrocity, and I'm not just saying that because I had Toronto plus 5.5. Just letting you know right now. Warriors, T-Wolves, Amari Spellman puts former Warrior Jordan Bell on a poster. Look at this nasty and one.
Amari Spellman from Villanova. That's right. I see him. Villanova's finest right there. Posterizing Bell.
All right, watch this, though. Indiana High School.
Oh no.
On your head, kiddo.
Not on the inbounds play. Somebody, I blame his teammates. Everyone looked and watched. No one yelled, watch out, look out, move out of the way. They just let him get dunked on. That's the danger of not putting a body on a guy. You got to defend. Come on, young guys.
And I could watch that.
Fundamental basketball.
Jaquez Williams.
All of his friends. He got
I
see four guys on the floor with him. Didn't even mention
my goodness.
A thing to him.
On to Tom Brady, who for the first time in his career is going to be a free agent at the end of this season. And the Patriots cannot franchise tag him. So if Saturday's game against the Titans ends in a loss, TB12 could be on the move. Brady was asked yesterday about the possibility of playing his final home game in New England.
I'm not much for nostalgia, you know. I'm just pretty focused on what I need to do, and you know, it's this week's felt pretty much like every other week for the last 20 years. I haven't thought about those things, and you know, I wouldn't be thinking about those things anyway. You know, it's felt like a normal week for me, so I just approach practice like I always have, and try to do the best I could do. So that's what I'm gonna do this weekend as well.
Do you hear people wondering about it or no?
About what's my last game? I haven't turned the TV on. You know, it's probably not the best after we lose to turn the TV on, listen to all your guys' shows and stuff like that.
He doesn't turn TV on. He only does Facebook Watch, where he has his own television show. Brian, if the Pats lose, do you think this will be Tom Brady's last game as a Patriot?
No. I think when you have the greatest of all time, the GOAT, Tom Brady, you allow him to come back as often as he wants. If he wants to play till he's 45, then he'll play till he's 45 in my uniform, especially if I'm Robert Kraft. This guy has brought relevancy to the Patriot organization. He brought this organization from nowhere in a bunch of championships. And when he wants to retire, that's when he retires from us. He gets a pass from any types of bad season like this one was. And I want to remind you, this season was bad, but then again, last year, Tom Brady only had 300 more yards passing, a few more touchdowns, a handful of more touchdowns, and so it wasn't terrible. Here's what I would do if I'm Tom Brady in the Patriots. I'm going to retool. I'm going to make sure my offensive line is healthy to begin the year. I'm going to get a running attack going. I'm going to find some receivers, and if it's N'Keal Harry, I'm going to allow him to develop. If Edelman's continue to be injured, I'm going to find a younger Julian Edelman. I'm going to find more pieces, more weapons to put around Tom Brady to allow him to be successful. I'm not throwing away Tom Brady and his 19 years of experience up there in New England just because he had one bad season that was off. I remember from 2010 to 2013, they didn't make a Super Bowl. Then every other year, they won the doggone Super Bowl. So they can have a bad year and bounce back. You have a good defense, add the ability to score some points offensively. That will support your defense, and you're right back to it next season.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the short answer is no. Tom Brady's not going to play anywhere else. Where I will somewhat disagree with you is that Tom Brady, just based on his resume, will have the right to be back as the quarterback. You're talking about a Bill Belichick coach team, and Belichick is notorious for moving on from a player a year early as opposed to a year late. The only difference with the Tom Brady situation is there is no in-house replacement for your quarterback if you decide to part company with TB12. Belichick is not turning it over to Jarrett Stidham. That's not going to happen. We saw that it's just a little too much for Jarrett Stidham, and he came in garbage time for the Jets. He played in the preseason. You see that he's not ready. So they don't have a viable replacement for Tom Brady. So from that sense, I do believe he'll be back. The organization will want him back. Now it's just a matter of whether or not Tom Brady wants to come back. But when you're talking about a quarterback who over the course of 2 decades has never had a losing season, never had a season under 500, never had a season at 500.
Yep.
Yeah, most of the seasons that he's played in have been double-digit win seasons. There's only one year out there where he was 9-7. That was the year after they won the first Super Bowl.
And it's the only year they've ever missed the playoffs.
It's the only year they ever missed the playoffs with him. So Tom Brady recognizes how important it is to have good people around him, to have the infrastructure in place in order to compete at the highest levels. And when you're talking about an infrastructure with an organization in the NFL, you have to look at the head coach. He's not going to go somewhere else and find a better head coach than the one that he has right now. So for that reason, I think it makes all the sense in the world for Tom Brady to come back.
I think you guys are both respectfully ignoring the enormous amount of evidence we have that this marriage is on the rocks. And much like an actual marriage, it only takes one party to break it off. And I think your point, Canty, that you alluded to, which is Brady, even if the Pats do want him back, they cannot franchise tag him. Brady has, for the first time in his career, full rights of, I can go wherever I want. But I want to talk about the Pats side of things first, because that's where the evidence lies. The New England Patriots this offseason, despite Tom Brady being the GOAT, despite him having just delivered them their 6th world championship, he went to the team and said, I want a contract extension. I'm age 42. I want to play until I am 45. I would like a 3-year extension. They said, you can't have it. Okay, a 2-year extension. No. Okay, a 1-year extension. Keeping in mind, what I've done over the last 3 years is the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history at age 39, a league MVP at age 40, and another Super Bowl, including a comeback on the road in the 4th quarter of the AFC Championship game against league MVP at age 41. That's what I've done over the last 3 years. Can I have a 1-year contract extension? And Bill Belichick looked him in his face and said, no, you cannot. Not that dissimilar, except with a far better track record, to Jason Garrett not getting a contract extension this offseason. What did we say when he didn't get it? It's a prove-it year for him. If they don't go further, if they don't advance at least to X, the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, he is going to be out. If Bill Belichick would not give Tom Brady a contract extension after those 3 years, after that level of excellence, 2 championships, a Super Bowl MVP, and a regular season MVP, if they go 12-4, lose at home to the Dolphins, then lose at home to the Titans, and they're out in the wild card round, that all of a sudden, he is now going to get him the contract extension he couldn't get this offseason. They knew when they turned him down this offseason who Jared Stidham was, what the quarterback pipeline looked like, and who the viable quarterback free agents were. But the other side of it is, what if you guys are right, the Patriots do want him back, and Tom Brady looks around and says, man, I told them to keep Antonio Brown. I told them I needed more help. I'm watching Drew Brees break the records of Peyton Manning that I was supposed to be the one to be breaking. He's got Michael Thomas. There's a team in L.A., one of the cities I own actually a $20 million home in, a city my wife loves, a city I probably plan to retire to, that has Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, not 1 but 2 quality running backs, not 0 but 1 very good tight end, unlike us. And they've got an opening at quarterback, and they need to put butts in seats. You don't think that looks attractive to him? Like, even if the Patriots say, Tom, our bad, or if Kraft steps in and says, forget Bill. Bill has a boss, it's me. Tommy, you want a contract extension. You don't think he's at least listening to what the Los Angeles Chargers would say? Because you're right about the coaching discrepancy, and nothing against Anthony Lynn, he's not Bill Belichick. But the Chargers have as much talent on the offense as any team in football. They have no one under contract for quarterback next season. Do you think it's in play that Tom Brady is the one that breaks up this marriage, if you will?
Well, if you're Tom Brady, you certainly have to consider it. You have to look at the talent on both teams. And when you look at Keenan Allen and Williams and their slew of running backs that they have out there, you're saying they got a bunch of talent out there. This is the one thing I'm thinking about if I'm Tom Brady. I've played in the AFC East for a very long time. And throughout those years, the Bills are just now getting good. The Dolphins have been bad, and the Jets have been bad. That's easy 6 games right there. You pad your stats. You look much better than you probably are. Compare that to the AFC West. The Broncos, they get after the quarterback. They attack the quarterback. The Raiders will continue to get better. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, you'll be facing Patrick Mahomes twice a year. Do you actually want to do that if you're Tom Brady at the age of 43 next year? I don't think that's something that he wants to face with a brand new system, brand new team. You don't know what happens with Tom Brady without Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick. So if I'm him and I'm in year 20 next year, I'm saying, do I want to do something totally new, something totally foreign to me, or can I go back to a retooled offense in New England and find a way to win with a very good defense? That's the way that I would point.
Well, yeah, and here's the way I look at it. You have to look at the organization that you would be going to. Now, you mentioned the L.A. Chargers, and it reminded me of something that Colin Cowherd always talks about. He says organizations, not players, win championships. When's the last time the Chargers won anything?
Organization.
They're a terrible organization.
Yes,
so why, if you're Tom Brady, would you entrust the twilight of your career to them when they've proven that winning at the highest level is not their top priority? To me, I don't think that seems like a situation that you want to put yourself in. And you talk about the skill position players that the Chargers have. Keep in mind, Melvin Gordon's probably out of there after this season. He'll be a free agent. He's probably not signing up to play for a team that wouldn't give him a contract extension coming into a contract year. But in looking at that situation, I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. And when you look at the landscape of the National Football League, at the organizations that prioritize winning at the highest levels year in, year out, it doesn't feel like there's a coaching vacancy. Not a coaching vacancy, a quarterback vacancy available. So I just think that even though Tom Brady and Bill Belichick wanted to afford themselves maximum flexibility in terms of options in the 2020 offseason, I just don't feel like either one is going to part company from the other.
And when the Patriots organization opted against giving Tom Brady his contract extension this offseason, what did he do the very next day? Very publicly put his house in Brookline, Massachusetts up on the market. As far as other organizations, you referenced Colin Cowherd. With respect to my dear friend Colin Cowherd, he talked about this yesterday, and he said the Indianapolis Colts are a viable option. Colin, I say this with all due respect. Ain't no way in hell Tom is dragging Giselle to Indianapolis. That one ain't happening, my friend. Coming up, who's going to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? That's next on First Things First. Can you imagine, honey?